Welcome everyone to the first episode of this new season of the Allcarnews Podcast. Joining me back on the podcast for our first episode of the season is Andrew from the Current Review. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome, doing great. Glad to have you back on the show. You're excited?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to talk about the
Awesome. Back
industry.
back for another episode. So, you've been doing some pretty interesting stuff lately, but if you want to just reintroduce yourself to everyone on the show, go right ahead.
Yeah, sure. My name's Andrew Lambrecht. I started a car blog called The Current Review, which I haven't even paid my name or my hosting subscription. I don't even think my website's live, and I still have it like in my bio, but it doesn't even work. So you can't really view it. But I'm mainly a freelance writer. I write at a few websites. I'm a contributor at Forbes Wheels and Inside EVs, and I also write at Business Insider. Just mainly cover electric vehicles and just freelance writer, etc. And I guess we have some interesting stuff to talk about because
Yes, we do.
we were recently talking about VinFast because I was on the VinFast media trip, and
Yeah.
we can get into that later.
Yeah,
And
you've
that
had
was, or unless you want to go into it right now, either way.
you've had some pretty interesting recent trips, I think. You had the VinFast media trip, you had
Yeah.
this recently today. Something I think that's even more
Yes.
interesting than the VinFast one is Mullen.
Yeah. So Mullen, it's that really there's really nothing about the company online. You can't find anything. Even
Yeah.
if you go to the CEO's LinkedIn page, he has like no like education, his like nothing. Like he can't like he just doesn't have much about himself, and it's like really hard for me as someone who wants to cover this company to like actually know anything about them.
Mhm.
But basically, I think from what we've learned is he is like in the music industry formerly, and it's like,
Interesting.
but he's like no engineering background, which is weird for like a car company. And
Yeah.
he like I think his rationale is like, oh, I'm a car guy, and I'm just like starting this company. I'm like, okay, it's like a
Yeah.
little bit more information, but. Anyways, they were at Charlotte, where I live, for a drive event, and I was like, "Why not just go there?" And I went there, and it wasn't actually drive; it was a ride, and we just kind
Oh,
of rode in the passenger seat. So it was a
sucks.
little disappointing. But I mean, as for the design is excellent. I really love it.
Yeah.
But like the car was really unrefined, like
No, so
rattling inside.
this is wait, just to stop you really quick. This is the Mullen 5 we're talking about, the new
This is a Mullen
electric
5.
SUV
Yes.
that this California based, I think they're California based company, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think so. I honestly,
I believe
yeah,
so.
but I think they're having, it will be built in Indiana at a facility owned by them. So not even contract manufactured. They're
Okay.
going,
So
yeah,
I think that I believe they started building that facility just recently.
I
I could be
think so.
wrong.
Yeah, because I was
Okay.
talking to the PR people and they honestly were not that similar. But then, I mean, once again, I even pitched this to my editors and they weren't even that in the story. So
That's pretty
it's,
interesting. So I
yeah,
guess they're a little bit of a unique case of one of these newer electric vehicle companies emerging. But I think the more significant one, sure, Mullen is maybe trying to gain some traction to space, but I think VinFast, who are spending boatloads of money both in the US and back in their home country, Vietnam. So, and you went on the trip all the way to Vietnam. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's a big one.
yeah. So I guess starting back, maybe in it was I forgot if it was early 2022 or late
Hmm.
2021. But I was interested in VinFast because I was like, what is this company? Like I mean, it's like, it's interesting. So
Yeah.
I just like reached out to their PR people and they're like, I'm like, oh yeah, if you're like ever doing any like media events, like keep me in the loop. So it was something like that. And then I just got sent like a bunch of press releases and nothing really of substance was happening. And I still didn't know much about VinFast. And then I think yeah, so I think a little later on, I wanted to do an interview with them, and they were like kind of hesitant, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like they're a startup, and especially coming from a country, Vietnam, where it's a completely different system there. It's literally a communist country. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, media is going to be viewed differently there than it would be in America. So I was like, whatever. And then I'm like, I just won't cover them. But then, like in June, I just got an email out of the blue. They're like, hey, we're inviting you on the annual or the inaugural I think I was in group two because they did three of them, but it
Hmm.
was a trip to Vietnam, and I'm like, as a freelancer, I'm like, that's kind of cool because
That's
like
crazy.
I'd love to
Yeah.
go to Vietnam, and I was just like, they invited me. I'm like, that's crazy. So, um, I looked at the itinerary, and then I was like, of course I'll go. And I was kind of worried that they wouldn't let me go because I get invited to press events, and a lot of the first drives you got to be like 25 or something
Yeah.
for with insurance, and they were like, no, you're cool. So I
It's
went on
different in
it.
Vietnam.
Yeah, it's definitely different. When we got there, it was, and I think because you read the Jalopnik article, you said that
Yeah.
they took all the passports. That was true for me. So they like took all our passports, and I was like, I just went with the flow. I was like, whatever. I'm like, I mean, I don't think they're gonna let my passport get taken, but yeah, and we got to the airport, and then we like got on a bus, and then we got to the first hotel, and I say the first hotel because there were multiple hotels, and
Multiple hotel. This
multiple
is
hotels.
now
Yeah,
this is all for the launch essentially of their first few vehicles in the US, right?
yes.
That's a
Sorry,
lot.
first one vehicle because we only drove one.
Exactly one vehicle,
One
but
vehicle. But
promise
I
more
mean,
coming.
I guess they had a lot of travel journalists there too, who are mainly
Okay.
covering this from more of a like, like a travel scope, like, oh yeah, these are the resorts. But anyways, we get to the first hotel. I think it's in Ha Long Bay, and that's like the icon. If you've ever seen the pictures of Vietnam with like the iconic like those crazy mountains in the
Yeah.
water, that's it. And so we got there. This is keep in mind this is a hotel on an island, and Vin Group owns all this. And well, I guess I went too far. So Vin Group owns Vinfast,
They
and Vin
yeah,
Group
yeah.
is a conglomerate in Vietnam, and I think they control 3% of Vietnam's GDP, like huge. They have
Wow.
tons of sectors. They have like Vin Mec for like their hospitals. They have Vin Mart where you get
Yeah,
like clothes. They have Vin Homes. They have Vin Pearl, which is their hotel chain. I
that's
mean,
crazy.
they own. I mean, yeah, I don't think they're a very powerful corporation, and it's like they have significant funding. You know that for sure. Like they're not messing around. But anyways, we get to the first hotel, and then we go on a cruise from that hotel around Ha Long Bay first night. So like meet and greet on a cruise ship, and there were two of them. There were two of them, like all throughout Ha Long Bay. Just
It,
like crazy nice dinner. Just I mean, for me, it was like, what is going on? Because this was like my first like really big press trip, and I'm like, is
yeah.
this normal? Like,
I
what
think
is going on?
I think that's a little abnormal. I'm gonna have to say that. From
Yes.
every press trip I've heard anyone go on, I think no one's gotten that kind of treatment before.
Yeah, and it was
And
like like yeah, just the extent of everything was really unbelievable. And
now,
then that was just day one.
yeah. Now, did you even get to see any of the cars on day one, or was it more
No.
of just
So,
them
okay,
pampering you
so I
guys?
guess yeah, so I actually kind of pull up the itinerary. Hmm. I think we went to the manufacturing facility day two. So we got on a bus from the hotel because it's hard to remember because it was like 6 days. It was crazy.
Yeah,
And then yeah, so just looking at this. Yeah, so we went to the manufacturing facility the next day, and from their facility, you could just tell that they they have a huge operation going on. So they have their own battery manufacturing facility.
our
So
own
it's
battery
not like
manufacturing facility.
their own battery manufacturing. So like even with like Chevy Bolts, they're using LG, I think LG cells.
Yeah,
Vin Group is making their own. They're making their own batteries. We
that's
went to the
significant.
metal stamping factory. They're making all their body panels. They're making literally the entire car. Like
Wow.
it's crazy. And I think they're using BMW for some parts, but
Yeah, yeah.
for the majority of the stuff, they have their own platform. And just for a little background, they started off making basically modified BMWs.
Yep.
Yeah, and they were, uh, I mean, they were just like decent cars. I mean, I don't know much about them, but they were just like they just they didn't really stand out. But I guess they were selling them because we saw them on the road. But yeah, so we went to the whole factory, and it was like you can really tell that they have a big operation. I
Yeah.
mean, because the thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, well, like, VinFast isn't, or like, they might say it's like vaporware. It's like, no, they definitely can mass produce vehicles. And they also mass produce electric scooters, which happen to do very well in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think that would be, and I think they might bring them to North America, but like for the Asian market, we just went into this like warehouse, and just as far as you could see were just electric scooters that were going to be
it's
sold.
crazy.
So yeah,
Well, at least it's good that they're showing that they have substance. There's like something behind all this like talk of like the company and the marketing and everything. Yeah, okay. But now we have the VF8, their first EV, I guess globally that they're gonna be selling into other markets outside of their home market. And it's gotten some mixed early impressions.
yeah,
Looks wise, it was designed by Pininfarina. And what are we talking about
yeah.
specs? We have I don't know the
So
size of the battery
specs.
exactly, but
Okay, so here are the specs. So I guess back to the trip. So then we did the factory tour. Then we stayed at Hotel Metropole
mhm.
downtown, which was like Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump went there. Like
Oh boy.
very nice hotel. Like I mean, just high level, like
Yeah.
just crazy. Um, yeah, so that was, and then after that night, then we flew on a plane to another location in Vietnam. We flew to um, Hon Tre Island.
Okay.
Obviously not to the island because the island's kind of small, but we flew to somewhere else, and then we get to the third resort, and that's where we do the test driving at. And they literally had their own roads they made for it, and it was like truly,
Wow.
it was the most beautiful driving area I've ever been, because
That's
you
nuts.
just get like the Vietnamese mountains right
Yeah.
against the ocean coast. It was unbelievable. It
That's
was
crazy.
truly like I was just driving the car. I'm like, this is not actually happening right now. Like, I mean, it was ridiculous. Um, but getting in the car, so I guess looks wise, I really like the way the VF8 looks. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's just
Yeah.
it's a
It's a
nice,
decent looking
yeah.
SUV. They have, I think, two
I
smaller vehicles that I'm not sure
Yeah, so
what
they
they
have the
exactly are.
VF7 and 6, and those will be smaller crossovers. I think there might be a VF5 too, but that'll probably be more towards like Asian and European markets. But no, I mean, getting to the car, it was truly, um, it was not that great.
Oh
So
boy.
yeah, so getting inside, because okay, I guess we'll go back as like a little premise. So getting in the vehicle, or before even getting in the vehicle, we were told that these were prototypes, which I was like, okay, it's a prototype. Like I wasn't expecting it to be like this amazing vehicle,
Yeah.
because with all prototypes, it's all very early software, early, like not be messing around with suspension, etc. So I wasn't gonna like crucify the car for having like not great suspension or
Yeah, of
something like
course.
that, because because yeah, because I think that would be the most fair and balanced way, because I can't compare it to like a production car, because I assume a pre-production ID4 would be pretty similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the car, we were told it was going to have the base model, which was the Eco, I think, and I think
Okay.
they changed up the trims again. So the Eco and the Plus, they both have around they both have around 90 kilowatt hour battery packs. I think the Plus was like a little bit larger,
Okay.
but the Eco was going to make 350 horsepower, and the Plus was going to make 402 horsepower. Now that's pretty good,
Decent.
because
That's
on
decent
paper,
power.
yeah. So the ID4 that I drove recently was 200 horsepower, and it wasn't very fast, but it was fine. It was like you can accelerate, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but the high level ID4 all wheel drive made like 300. So having 353 would be like, that's pretty good. I mean, that's higher than a Model 3. So it's like that. Obviously, it's an
Well,
SUV, so it's
yeah,
heavier.
it's a little bit
But
of a bigger vehicle, but
yeah, so I mean, but the power numbers seem pretty healthy. They didn't really have any info on what kilowatt fast charging it was capable of, so we didn't
oh,
really know
okay.
that. But
That's
I mean, it was
interesting.
going to be pretty quick. So yeah. So, anyways, getting in the car, the one first thing I noticed was it had a transmission hub, and it was on its
Yes.
own platform. And I was like, so why are they doing this? And when talking about it, the battery is actually shaped like that. I'm like, but why? It's a battery. Why do you have to make it
like a
have like a
T-shaped
transmission on?
battery?
Well, I mean, it was a skateboard battery, but then it had a hump in the middle, and I was like, this is just so weird. Like, this
That's
makes literally no
strange.
sense.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah,
unusual.
because when you're making, because I get it in the BMW i4 because it's not on a, because you can't, it
It's
already
not
has a
a dedicated
transmission on.
platform. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was strange. And then like even when you opened up the front trunk, it wasn't like flat. It was like flat and then a little like hump. It was just weird, like stuff that
Yeah.
it did seem pretty early. But getting behind the wheel of it, it was. I mean, the interior actually looked great, and the software inside was pretty good. Like it was pretty responsive. I mean, I'd say
Now,
it was better than. Yeah.
yeah. So I got to experience the VF8.
Okay.
It was at the New York Auto Show, and there was like a static one just parked there, and it was it was okay. The quality seemed like decent for
Yeah.
like a brand new vehicle, but
Yeah. The interior quality was decent.
it's pretty good. The trunk didn't work, but I think that was just show car.
Yeah.
That's understandable. The weird thing was, and I'm really hope I haven't seen this obviously yet, but I wonder if you might know. When I scrolled through the infotainment system, and I have screenshots of this because, well, not screenshots, but I took pictures of it because I was laughing. They had images from Tesla, Volvo, out like images of those vehicles built into their, I guess the demonstration or how-to sections of their, um, like driver assistance systems. So for like lane keep assist, it was like a picture of like a Volvo from
No
Volvo's like
way.
website, and then from there's another one where there was a Tesla Model 3, and another one had an Audi. I'm like, these have to be placeholders. So hopefully they changed that. I'm sure they did, but it was really interesting that they would even throw that onto like even a show car because everyone's gonna see that. So that was interesting to me. And then I also was able to get visit the auto show since no one goes really anymore. All the manufacturers, they had a wonderful test track downstairs for all EVs because it's indoors. And I did get to ride in the VF8, sit in it, and
Mhm.
obviously not drive it, but it felt quick. I think it was the one that had 400 horsepower, and
Okay.
they seem legit. I still have I think I might have this right here. Oh, perfect timing. They gave me a wonderful VinFast
Yes, I got one of
waterfall
those as
made out of
well.
wood, which is really cool.
Yep.
So I do still have that. I do thank them for that because it's actually really nice. But yeah, that was my one experience of the brand, and the open bar was fantastic. But like, you were the one who were able to drive it, so I'd love to hear
Yeah.
that a
Oh, and
little bit
speaking
more.
of gifts, we did get a lot of gifts too.
Oh,
They
that's
even had
awesome.
the gift shop was all inclusive. Like you could get whatever you want at the gift shop for free. Like it
That's
was like
fantastic.
I was like, what is going on here? Like this is I didn't feel right. I still paid because I'm like, okay, this is like I'm not I don't want to yeah, whatever. But yeah, so actually driving it. So I first drove the Eco. I
Okay.
recorded 0 to 60. Well, I first excel. Well, the first thing is the one pedal driving in there was like very, very light. Like it was not like it would bring you to a stop, but it was just so like light. Like it
Okay.
wasn't like it really didn't feel like it was doing anything at all. And it probably felt like in its highest setting, probably felt like a Tesla Model 3 in its
Interesting.
lowest setting, if
Did
even
it was
that.
oh so there was only two main settings of like the one pedal drive?
Yeah, I think it was like high, medium, and low, or high and low, but
Okay.
high did really nothing. And then so that was the first thing, and then the throttle response was just so dull. It felt like it felt slower than well, I guess not slower, but it felt less responsive than like my old Chevy Volt. Like it really
Ooh,
was. It probably even more unresponsive than ID4. And the
interesting.
ID4 has a really poor accelerator response. And so even in sport mode, it felt like that. But
Okay.
anyways, I accelerated and I got like 0 to 60 in like 8.5 seconds on the base model. And that was like really
Oh,
disappointing because that was like, I mean, 8.5 is like so slow. It's like, and sure, that was with my stopwatch, but it was like,
and
if that car weighed, yeah,
this is supposed to go up against like the ID4. Are they pitching it up
correct.
against? Okay. I
Yes.
mean, and I don't know what the comparable base model for the ID4 would be.
Yeah, because the thing is, with this price, it's going to start at 55,000 with the battery
Oh,
included. And when we're talking
okay.
about something that's that expensive, it's like
Yeah.
I don't like the ID4 personally. I think there's some issues with it, especially with like software and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd take an ID4 over it because it's like you can get an ID4 for 37.5. Granted, it'll be a base
Yeah. And you're
model,
basically getting the
but
same stuff.
yeah. So that was disappointing. And then I drove the Plus model, which also did maybe 0 to 60 in like 7.5. Because
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it was just because we recorded it with like a stopwatch, and it was kind of disappointingly slow because it was like because when you tell someone the car's gonna have 350 horsepower and you get it that's that slow, it's like yeah. And then the turning radius was like really bad. That was another thing. And
Interesting.
the steering feel was like it was kind of dull. And then the tires were really bad because it was like squealing the tires. I went around a corner at like 60 kilometers per hour. It wasn't even a sharp corner. It was
Yeah.
just like, yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. So, I mean, obviously, the few people who have been testing this have also had some interesting mixed opinions as well. So there's
yeah.
that. Hmm. I mean, I don't know what to think about it just yet. And I mean,
But
it's
yeah, because
interesting.
that's
They
the
have a lot of
thing.
promising stuff that they're saying
Yeah,
that should be
because for the
coming.
tour, yeah, because we did the tour. I was like excited. I was like, I think this company actually knows what's doing.
Yeah,
And I mean, just you can see from touring all their properties, like you know that they have a ton of resources at their disposal. I mean,
exactly.
um, and their whole facility. I mean, I've never been to dominant car manufacturing facilities, but it like you can't fake a car facility. You got to actually make it, and which they actually did make it, and they've been producing cars before, and yeah, I mean, the car was a pretty big letdown. But like in my review, I was like, yeah, it did all these bad stuff. I'm like, but then we also talked to engineers after,
Hmm.
and they were like, asked for all our feedback, and they're like, we're gonna work on this and all this stuff.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and I mean, to be fair, it's a pretty the car. I think itself is seems okay. It's just like the battery technology needs to like kind of catch up to competitors for the
yeah.
price and everything. So interesting. And they're what's their next vehicle? They're kind of promising that's going to be coming after this. The big one, the
So it
VF9.
should be the VF9. I mean,
Okay.
personally, we got to sit inside of it. It was actually really nice because it was bigger, and like you could tell all the materials were a little bit more premium on that, like
Yeah,
window trim, etc. And I think the VF9 is a good looking car.
I think it
Because
was.
there's
Yeah,
really no 3 row semi affordable because it's not that affordable, but like under $100,000 electric SUVs out there because it's
yeah.
like there's like the Mercedes EQS SUV, but that's
The
really expensive, and then
Rivian
oh
and
yeah, the Rivian R1T or
and
S. Yeah.
that's it. Until the Hyundai and Kia come out versions of the
Yeah.
7 passenger. That's going to be. I mean, that just might take the entire market for a while, but
Yeah.
unless the
Imagine like a
VF9 can come out.
Palisade or a Telluride EV. That would be crazy.
Oh yeah, but they have I think it's the EV9 actually,
Yeah.
or
But I
seven.
guess
But
something of that,
yeah,
design.
yeah, it should be, and it's
But
going on
yeah, I
sale
think,
pretty soon. But so it should be interesting to see if Vinfast can kind of compete with that in that area.
yeah. So my issue, I mean, I just think VinFast, what they should have done was brought the VF9 out first. Just brought the
Yeah,
VF9 out and just ditch that whole stupid battery subscription thing. Because in reality, people don't keep their EVs that
yeah,
long. People will buy them, drive them for year to maybe 4 years and then sell it and then buy the new thing because the people buying EVs are different from people buying, like a Toyota Corolla or something. There's people who buy Toyota products and keep them for like 10 years brand new. And there's also people who buy electric cars and they probably tend to keep them a lot less.
yeah, exactly. And the thing with the battery subscription is that there's a few unsettling things I think people are finding with it, and I don't know if everyone still fully understands the whole battery subscription thing. So some
Yeah.
people might need to try to figure that out on VinFast website, but unfortunately, it's not that clear on there. But I think that clarity is an issue that people don't understand it, and then you're going to be you'll have a car payment and you have a battery payment, but then
Yeah.
is it
So
going to be
that's an
worth it, or it's just buy the battery with the car?
yeah,
It's a weird
exactly.
concept.
And so one of the other things is so let's compare the I don't know Hyundai Ioniq with a 10-year 100,000 mile battery warranty. So when you buy them both, you keep them both for 10 years, you're paying the battery subscription the whole time on the VinFast, but the Ioniq you weren't paying it at all and it was just under warranty because you're kind of like the
Yeah,
battery warranty is built into most EVs prices. So it's a weird thing to look at.
Honestly, it's a little scary, for
Yeah.
the sense that, like,
And what
why do
happens if
they?
you don't pay it? Are they just going to like disable your battery? Like, what's going to happen?
Exactly, it's
Could
that whole
someone
kind of
just hack the
subscription.
car somehow and
Yeah,
then have the battery? Like,
yeah, it's a
yeah,
really there's a lot of unanswered questions that I don't think anyone is getting answers to.
yeah,
And I honestly, I think it's either a scheme from them to kind of like pitch the cars to be cheaper, and like people see the cheaper
yeah.
price of
But
the
they're not even
vehicle.
that cheap with
They're
the
not that
battery
cheap
subscription.
still.
It's like 42,000
Yeah,
starting price without
yeah.
the battery.
And I guess they want to, they're trying to offer some kind of peace of mind. Maybe it's with that battery subscription that, oh, we'll maintenance it, we'll replace it, we'll do all these things for it. Um, I, I don't know if that's them saying, being like, oh, we're trying to attract people to the brand, kind of like trusting them with that, or is it that they don't trust these brand new batteries and they're expecting issues to be happening with them? So that's why I'm not too sure where they're kind of going with that exactly.
Yeah, because and I guess the other thing to think about is every new EV on the market has at least an 8-year, 100,000 mile battery warranty. It's mandated by the
Exactly.
government. It
Yeah.
has to have that. So yeah, and I just think a better route would be if they are like so worried about the battery or something, just have the 8-year warranty and then say when you buy the car, maybe spend like 6,000 up front for like an extra 4-year warranty, something like that. That's more like,
Yeah.
you know,
And I think that's what A, people are used to, and B, just makes more sense because
yeah, it's not for the American market, North
it's
American
definitely
market.
not for the American market. I
It
don't know,
works
think it's
well in
going to be,
China with Neo because you
yeah,
got the battery swapping stations, all that stuff. But for the
exactly.
US market, it's like people, if it worked, other automakers would be doing it, and they don't because it doesn't work.
It's, yeah, and I don't even think it's going to work for a European market as well.
Hmm.
So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm curious to see, they just shipped the first few hundred cars over to the US. So
Yeah.
I think we're really going to start seeing what's going to be happening
And these are
as
the
those roll out.
VF8 City Edition. So they brought a
The
new edition
lowest
out, and
range.
this will only go 180 miles with a 90 kilowatt hour battery pack. That means like 2 miles per kilowatt hour.
That's
So
weird.
either there's software limiting the battery or it's just that inefficient. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know.
I really wanted to see them like succeed because it was really exciting just seeing everything that they're doing. And it's just like, yeah, I don't think right now it's like I think they need more like EV auto centric people kind of
Yeah,
running the show. Because I think especially talking with like a lot of the engineers there, it's like you can tell that they want this thing to be a really great product. But
they're
I
trying.
mean,
It's hard.
yeah.
I think
I
it's
mean,
hard.
and to be fair, they're a big company. This is
Exactly.
their first product.
Yeah.
It may not be that great. I just hope they kind of work things out, and then maybe next year they'll bring out the VF9 and hopefully get rid of all those issues.
Yeah, I think the VFA's I mean, it is their test run. And I think they're only selling them in California
Yeah,
right now, or at least delivering them. So
yeah,
I
and I
guess we're
mean
gonna
to be
see.
fair, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna see what I guess we're just gonna see what happens with them.
Yeah, because we can look back the original, Nissan Leaf that turned out to be a really like the batteries sucked in it. It wasn't that great.
Yeah,
But then Nissan kind of worked out the issues, and now you buy Nissan Leaf today, it'll be a pretty good car.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, VinFast story in the US. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I don't know whether to be excited, nervous for them, but we'll see what plays out. There's a lot of
Hmm.
new companies kind of entering that whole space in the market. Um, but yeah, I mean, the EVs right now in general are blowing up. They're everywhere. It's a lot of controversial opinions everyone has on all these different vehicles coming out. There's a lot of different takes
Yeah.
manufacturers are doing with all these vehicles. But I mean, what are you excited for looking into like 2023? What are your favorite, maybe the top two, top three favorite EVs right now, or maybe what you're excited for going into the future?
So they're coming out now or not
Yeah,
out
right
yet?
now. Let's just see what's happening right now. What do you think are your
The
favorite right
top
now?
vehicles, I am definitely interested. Okay, so today I actually drove a Rivian and
Oh yeah.
it
How
was,
did that
yeah,
go? And this is the
that
pickup truck,
was, yeah. So
R1T.
genuinely speaking, yeah. So R1T, it was the it was the greatest car I've ever driven. And I will say
Really?
that so far, I haven't driven anything like this was the fastest car I ever drove. So it was like 3 seconds 0 to 60. I don't think
Okay.
I've driven anything quicker than that. Because I still want to check out like a Lucid Air, maybe a Plaid Model S, something
Yeah.
like that. But in terms, I mean, this thing was so ridiculously fast. Because we were actually at a drag strip parking lot. So he was just like, yeah, like have fun with it. And just the acceleration on that thing was just mind blowing. I mean, a pickup
Yeah.
truck should not be that fast.
No.
Um, but
And it's
yeah, so
interesting
in
with the sorry, sorry to cut you off, but it's interesting with the R1T because it's actually still, I've heard it's still a body on frame platform. People think it's unibody, but it's not, which is interesting.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, because I think as you can see that with like the F-150 Lightning, you can obviously see that
Obvious,
it's like
yeah.
because the issue that I have with the F-150 Lightning is you've driven it, I haven't. I don't know. I haven't even seen one in person that much, but from the pictures and everything, it looks more like because at least a Rivian, it's built from the ground up.
Hmm.
It's on its own platform, whereas the F-150 Lightning, it's kind of like,
Well,
even if you look underneath the Lightning, it's more like it's like the floor isn't flat. It's like, yeah,
so I was attacked because I by everyone on the internet because I was just saying, oh, it's just an F-150 with battery swapped into it, but apparently it's not. Apparently they like
Mhm.
reshaped the frame. There's like the whole rear end is completely different.
Yeah,
Um, and I haven't been in a Rivian yet. I'm not sure how they drive, and you haven't been a Lightning, so this is kind of a hard comparison. But at least from my experience with driving the Lightning, it was shocking to me
okay,
because it drove. I mean, I was going into it thinking, oh, it's gonna feel like, I don't know, maybe not fully put together. It's not gonna feel like solid. It's not gonna feel like it handles well. Shattered all those expectations from driving it. It was like, it felt premium. It felt like
okay,
obviously very heavy because the batteries are in there. It's over 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, I believe, at least in the max battery. Um, it felt very solid, planted, super quiet, no rattles, no noise, other than a little bit of noise from the motors when you kind of step on it. Um, and it handled fantastically because it has a unique suspension. And I was shocked. I really was shocked. So driving wise, it's fantastic. Um, Now the one I was in was, I think at the time it was around 77,
and now they
$78,000.
raise the prices just like
And yeah, they
Rivian
raised the
has.
price, but
Yeah,
it didn't have a leather interior, and it also didn't
yes,
have
it had
the full
cloth seats.
screen. Yeah, it was, I think
Mhm.
that the XLT, I can't remember the lineup names,
Yeah,
but it wasn't the like the platinum or the limited or whatever the top ones are called, and which you can get for like just a few thousand more, which is really weird. Um,
yeah, I
so that
hate
was
their
the only
trims.
shocking part.
It's
Yeah, it's a weird trim
yeah.
size, but the experience with the vehicle, like the F-150 Lightning, is pretty nice. Now, I have heard some crazy issues with the glitches and technology failing and people getting all this stuff, but overall, I think it's a pretty impressive product from Ford.
Yeah.
On that aspect, I don't know how only if you can speak to it, how the Rivian kind of feels and like how it kind of felt.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the Rivian has air suspension too, right?
Yeah. So the Rivian,
Okay.
that's an issue because I guess looking like 5 years down the road, it's like, how's this thing going to hold up? Because obviously air suspension is not the most reliable, but it is cool. Like while
Yeah.
it's under warranty, it's a cool feature. But
Yeah.
I guess the one thing I love about the Rivian though, and I just didn't really see this on the Lightning, is just all the active aero elements. So at
On the
higher
Rivian.
speeds, I think yeah. So the Rivian has, I was looking at, I'm like, no way, it has like all these like air curtains up front around the wheel arches, and especially on the back, it actually has a lower drag coefficient than the R1S um,
Really?
SUV because of the way.
Interesting.
So basically, even though, like, and I looked at this from the back, it does. They're trying to make a teardrop shape out of it, which sounds crazy because if you look at the spoiler on the back roof of the
Oh,
truck, it literally makes it makes a
yeah.
just like an air curtain over the back, and it's just
Yeah.
crazy. Like just the little design elements in it are really something.
That's awesome. I never
And
even thought
obviously,
about it
like
like
the
that.
flush door handles. And I mean, the thing is, because I like the Lightning, I genuinely think it's a great truck, but it's like, it has like regular door handles. It's like, I feel like they could have maybe done some more stuff to make it, I don't know, stand out from the
Yeah.
regular
And
Lightning
I think Ford did
or
say
from the regular
yeah,
F one
they're
fifty.
working on a dedicated EV truck platform too. So I mean, obviously
Mm-hmm.
it's going to take a little bit more time, but I'll be curious to see how that, I guess, works out. when that eventually comes. But so Rivians, I guess, were your number one favorite ones for right now. What else?
Yeah. Because I mean, I that's a car that's been hyped a bunch, and actually experiencing it, I think it deserves a hype. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
just everything in there. I mean,
it's a fantastic
just
first
having,
attempt. Yeah, from them.
yeah, I mean, they like the build quality was amazing. Like it was literally in the materials. It was like I was going in there like, okay, whatever. It's like it's
Mhm.
just an electric pickup truck. It's like, no, it's like this thing is actually really impressive. Some of the other cars, BMW i4, I think that's probably one of the best deals for an electric sedan because it's like, it's cool, it's sporty, and it starts at 51,000, which isn't cheap, but it's like it's within the price range of
Yeah.
Model 3. And would I take one over a Model 3? Probably, yeah.
Now I have seen
Um,
that the 40 drive. I don't even know how the naming structure BMW is going with right now is
the
even I'm getting
eDrive
confused.
35,
eDrive 35 or 40, whatever it is.
yeah, the rear
Um,
wheel drive one.
yeah, the rear wheel drive ones. I think it's appealing, honestly. I've heard people like it way more than the M51 just because M51's like jittery or something, doesn't handle too well. But I heard the rear drive one is pretty nice, but you can't get those in all-wheel drive, which is interesting unless you go for
Yeah,
their
that's
top end.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would just make an X-Drive version of like the 35 and the 40 just to have
Yeah.
because it's like the thing is sometimes people because I mean the M50 is fast and that's cool, but it's like it would be nice to have all-wheel drive because I don't think all-wheel drive should always correlate to performance. All-wheel drive is also nice, if you
Just for
live in somewhere that's
acceleration
snowy.
or yeah,
Yeah.
or if you're in the inclement weather. Well, obviously not everyone needs it, but um I do think the i4 for being a vehicle that has batteries slopped into it from like gas platform, I think it's pretty solid. It
Yeah, oh
drives like
yeah,
a
for
regular
sure. I mean,
car. It looks like a regular car.
yeah,
Yeah,
it drives really well. Like it
yeah.
doesn't feel like it's huddled together or anything. And I also drive the Mini Cooper SE, which is based on the exact or not same platform, but it's also based on Ice Car, and they basically shove batteries underneath it, and
Yeah.
it works well.
Yeah, BMW was definitely thinking ahead with all these, unlike Mercedes, but
Yeah, I think
they had
there's a
some
lot.
planning into it.
I might be driving an EQS maybe soon,
Okay,
but
awesome.
with the EQS, it's just like the design from the outside. It's not that appealing.
Yeah,
It's like
the designs.
it's for
Yeah,
aerodynamics, but it's like, but the
I
Tesla Model S was also made for
I
aerodynamics, and that looks great.
I always say that you have the wonderful Lucid Air, which gets basically the same coefficient of drag as the EQS. Does not look like a bubble,
Mhm.
and yeah, so some people don't like the Lucid Air's design, but I think it looks fantastic.
I think I
Um,
agree,
so it's
especially
looks
with the
better,
dark package.
more range,
Mhm.
better interior packaging. Sure, it doesn't have all the like brand prestige and the luxury features as the EQS, but I don't know. I would personally take one over the EQS, but I've also heard that the EQS is a little bit cramped for the driver up front because of like kind of that teardrop shape. This is something that
Yes,
I've
and I know
seen
the front
reviews.
visibility isn't great
Yeah,
too.
I've heard people talking about that in the new Prius actually, because it has that same really sloped back roof line where kind of like push the greenhouse bubble all the way to the back for that more teardrop effect, but it kind of
Mhm.
destroys the driver's
But
space and
yeah,
everything. Yeah,
because that's the thing. Because especially with like, I think the Model 3 was like the car that just mastered everything. I mean, it's
definitely.
really has great performance. It was one of the first cars to ever, it's extremely aerodynamic, but it's also like you got really good visibility. You got like all this stuff. Whereas there's not many trade offs in that car. Whereas like
Mhm.
in the EQS, it's like sure you get good aerodynamics, but you trade off on styling. You trade off
Yeah.
on visibility. Um,
And I
yeah,
would
and you don't get
honestly
a
even
front
say
trunk in the
performance as well for the
yeah.
price
The
is
EQS performance is really like it's like 6 seconds 0 to 60 for like 102,000. It's like, yeah, sure, it is really luxurious, but it's like
the S class is
that's
quicker
kind of
for cheaper.
yeah.
So yeah, and now they have the subscription thing that they're trying to like get people to pay a few thousand, I think a year or
Yeah.
something to unlock like 100 more horsepower.
I anything a year should just or anything
Yeah,
monthly or a year in cars, they don't fix.
yeah, they're definitely trying it out, which is weird, but I don't know. And I've heard the one thing I've consistently heard everyone say about the EQS, and I think this is going with all the EQ products right now, is the brake pedal is horrifying. And I haven't experienced one yet, but everyone's saying it just doesn't feel. I heard one person say that it doesn't feel production ready. I've also heard everyone else
That's
say
crazy.
everyone say it just feels terrible and it's like disconnected. You don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can be able to try one kind of
And
experience that. But yeah,
that's a huge issue with a lot of EVs because here's the thing that I'd say in all these cars, just make one pedal driving standard. You don't like no changing it, no, because the thing is, whenever you go with a blended brake pedal, that's like a Toyota Prius, that's like a Chevy Volt, like I used to
Mhm.
drive. You can never get it to be really good. There's very few
Oh,
cars that can actually master it. So just have one pedal driving, so it does full regen when you let your foot off the accelerator, and then the brake would be just friction brakes.
yeah,
That's the best
that's how
way.
it should be.
Because yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's their Gen 1. Hopefully, they can make these improvements. Who knows, maybe through software, maybe over time when they kind of like face these vehicles and makes new stuff. So another early generation product that needs some improvement. But I think that's with a lot of these EVs that are coming out. They're either being rushed or they're being, there's priorities in some places and not in all the places. Like
Or
we're
it's
about to
taking
get
too long, like the Cybertruck.
exactly,
So you
and
get like,
we're about to get the Solteras in at where I work my job, a Subaru dealership. So
really?
I'm very interested to see how that is.
That's
Um, yeah, they've been
I
delayed.
would the media drive for that was sick. They like flew everyone out to Catalina and then they took them off road, like Catalina Island,
That's
like off the
crazy.
coast of LA. It was like just the pictures of it were like, this is so crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't
But
heard anything good about them, so
yeah, I mean, the
we're gonna see what happens.
performance is
But
like the thing is with that is like so the front wheel drive, obviously a Super is all wheel drive only, but the Toyota
the Toyota's fun.
BZ4X is 200 horsepower front wheel drive, which is lame. And then for all wheel drive, 215 horsepower. It's like they couldn't even have given it like more of a power bump.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
yeah.
it's Toyota, so I wouldn't expect like for these like mainstream vehicles, I wouldn't expect performance, but it's just the price. Like
But the
you're
RAV4
looking how
Prime's
much they're
faster. The
costing
RAV4 Prime's like 300 horsepower.
exactly, and you're looking how much
But
they cost, and then you're looking at all the competitors. You're like,
mhm.
why would I get this? Oh, am I buying it for the
Yeah.
Toyota brand or Subaru
Yeah, I
brand?
mean, there's a lot of EVs that are coming out now that are just like pretty mediocre. Like the EQB is one of them. Like it's just
Oh
like
wow, yeah,
what's so great about it? But honestly, in 2 to 3 years from now, those might be great cars to buy used because I bet you they're going to
I'm
depreciate a
sure the
lot. So
values will
like,
tank. Yeah,
say you could get an EQB for like 30 grand in like 2 years, it's like that might be a good car because for 30,000, that would be
yeah.
that's a good option. Especially like the EQSs right now are depreciating like crazy.
I have
So
seen it, and they're marking them
that would
down.
be
It's
very
rare.
sad for anyone who bought them brand new for like 50 over sticker when they came out because it's like you're
Exactly.
basically screwed.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely rough. And I don't know if they were like first edition models, but nonetheless, I don't know who'd be spending that much money on those things anyway. I couldn't stomach it. But yeah, so it's some interesting stuff right now. But I mean, obviously, upcoming more brands and more cars are coming out. I think they're really gonna kind of shift the market a little bit more. I have some thoughts
Oh,
on
for
some of these
sure.
vehicles, but I want to hear what you think of some of the like main vehicles that are coming out, at least
Yeah.
the EVs side of this.
Okay. So some EVs, I mean, number one car that I am very hyped about that will fingers crossed come out next year is the Tesla Cybertruck. It's just something that's it looks so crazy because
Yeah.
I love something that's just like so strange, and the Cybertruck is one of those cars. And I'm just saying right now, if you have a reservation on one and you don't want it, just take delivery of it, and you will be able to flip that thing for so much
Oh,
money.
oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I'm
that's
just
that's like an instant cash grab right there.
yes. Exactly. And same thing with the Riv. I mean, any car right now that's super hyped and there's going to be low production, you
So
will be able to flip that car. So, and I
funny,
have like a list of some of these cars.
yeah, funny
So,
story you mentioned that actually. So the R1S's, the new Rivian,
yes,
have not
they're going
been
for crazy. Well,
really.
they're going for like over 100. I've been seeing some of them.
Yeah, I mean you can opt for them close to like in the 90s, right? I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just saw
Well,
one
I'll check
sold for
cars.com.
yeah, I just saw
How
one
much?
that just sold for 101,
Okay.
which honestly is not that much like crazier than
Yeah.
how much you're paying for them. So I think this hype is starting to die down a little bit. I think
Yes. Well, I guess the
it's
thing is, yeah, now it's starting, but like I remember because I always look at cars and bids. I remember when the R1S first came out, they
Yeah,
were going for like 120, 130,
yeah.
that, which is just, yeah. But I agree now the market is kind of cooling
Well,
down.
and what I think is attesting to that is because I remember I spoke with a prospective customer for the new EX90, which is the new upcoming Volvo SUV. And
Yeah.
he had a Rivian R1S reservation, and he's just was going to cancel it because it wasn't going to come until like another year. As his projected date was because he got a little bit later. And I mean, obviously the EX90 is not going to come out for a while too, but it's like, and he's like, well, there's all these other vehicles coming out way sooner. Why can't I just get them? So I think people are starting to realize that there's more EVs coming out. There are more options. I think this first edition height might last for like the first few models, but like that long-winded out long like cash grab for these cars, I think is starting to die down, especially as the supply chains kind of kick back up again and people are able to
Oh
make
yeah,
cars
for
faster
sure.
too. So
But I think like
interesting.
now, like I'm just like a Cybertruck. I know that's a car you will be able to flip
Oh yeah,
because it's just
it's been
because
hyped
I
up for years now.
yeah, and I think but some of the other cars, like I was thinking like with the Model S Plaids, I was thinking that could be a car. But since they're producing them now, they're not selling for that much used. And same thing like Tesla, since they have so much inventory now, it's like now these people on Carvana aren't getting high offers because they're
Yeah,
producing them. You can go right to a Tesla center and now you'll get 3750 off a Tesla. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's definitely interesting. But so I mean, a Cybertruck, I'm gonna guess Q3 23. Just gonna guess that out there. Let's see
yeah.
what that actually happens. But
Let's see.
I
We
don't
should make
know.
a bet. I think, do you think it'll come before the end of 2023?
Yeah.
Because I'm honestly not sure with Tesla. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm a
they
hundred. I am more than confident we will see them built
okay.
before the end
I'm
of next
voting
year.
maybe Q4. I think maybe Q4.
Really?
Yeah,
So
I don't have that
did you
much faith
see
in Tesla.
did you see the rolling chassis picture that was just leaked out of the factory
When did that come out?
like yesterday or a day or two ago?
I'll have to check.
So it's the skeleton body, well, the whole chassis, I guess, there, just rolling on like a sheet, and you can see the one massive rear mega casting. So I'm assuming that they're like testing out these panels right now, and like they're in
Wow.
that phase, kind of like calibrating all the equipment, getting all the stuff ready. But yeah, so I'm gonna say Q3.
Okay.
I'm
We'll see.
I'm feeling it. My only concerns are the batteries. Actually, I don't know if they're going to be using the new 4680 cells. Um, I think that's more of a concern versus the actual. I think they got the chassis set up. They have the giga presses, whatever they're called. So I think we're set on
Yeah.
that front, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll
But
see.
no.
So
I mean, I love Tesla's technology, but it's just like when it comes to delivery, it's like you can't
yeah,
have that much.
yeah.
Yeah. Because it's, I
So
mean, literally every single model they've been really, really late on. Like everything. They haven't, I don't
everything.
think they've ever delivered a product earlier than what they've said when they, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but we're gonna have to see with that one. It could be all up in flames. Who knows? But so Cybertruck, definitely one to look out for in 2023.
Yeah.
What else?
What's another one? The Model 3 refresh. I feel like I'm just going with all Tesla models, but Project Highland, the new Tesla
I'm
refresh.
excited for that, actually.
Yes,
I'm
because
very
there's so
excited for
many
that.
issues with the Model 3 that could just be easily alleviated. Like,
Hmm.
I guess just going off of the Model Three's interior, and I guess I'm kind of obsessed with the Model 3 right now because I am looking at them used because yeah, so that's just been I'm actually test driving one tomorrow.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I will because I'm just interested in seeing what like the base audio systems like, etc. Because after experience of Rivian's premium sound today, it it's crazy. Like premium audio is the way to go. But I think yeah, just with the Tesla Model 3, I would just like to see a lot of changes with it because it's like
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to get ventilated seats, unfortunately, like stuff
I
like
don't.
that. But
Not many EVs
yeah,
have ventilated seats. I've been noticed.
which is a shame because especially at least for me living in the South, it's like it gets hot in the summer and it would be nice.
Yeah.
But like the Chevy Bolt has it, and that thing's like 38,000. But on topic of Chevy, I think the Equinox is going to be an excellent EV when that delivers.
Mhm.
Not the Blazer so much because I think the Blazer, it's just the Blazer's price is too high and you don't get that many features on the base model. It's like
Yeah.
cloth
So
seats, front wheel drive for like 45 grand. It's like
yeah,
it's like a
the
BZ4X.
I think
Obviously better charging.
I think the Honda Prologue might be a better buy over the Blazer. Same car.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
Acura ZDX. I think they're bringing that name back. But those are all, and the Lyric. I think those are all going to be like a similar version of the Ultium
yeah.
chassis. So that's interesting that they're doing that. But I think the Equinox EV is going to be a huge hit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially if they can hold. I don't think it's actually gonna be 30. It's probably gonna be like 32, 33, something like that.
Yeah,
But if they can hold at least under 35 grand, because that's the thing. All these EVs coming out are like
way too
50,000,
expensive.
45,000, 55,000. It's like we want some, like, obviously the profit margin's not as high on these entry level vehicles, but it's like since they got rid of the base trim mini, which I think you could still maybe special order dealerships, but that aside, um, it's like what it's like you can get a Chevy Bolt or a Nissan Leaf, maybe a Hyundai Kona, but that's kind of more expensive. And the new Kia Niro, that thing's like what, like 41,000, and it
Yeah,
just has
I'm
like trash
surprised.
specs.
I'm
It's so
surprised at how
bad.
expensive that got. It looks cool, but
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, yeah, just the specs on it's like it's
yeah,
not that great.
the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid for those are looking a little bit better. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a wild card out, and it's not even an EV, but the Corvette E-Ray. I'm actually very excited
Yes.
for. It's gonna be the first all-wheel drive Corvette. It'll be the first hybrid Corvette, and I think that's actually going to completely disrupt the entire market because who has that right now? That's pretty interesting. We have a hybrid
Yeah.
V8, probably under 100K even. I don't know
I
about that.
mean, I'm just saying that car, if
Nuts.
you can get a deposit on one of those and make sure it's not over sticker price, imagine how much you could flip that thing for.
Oh well, yeah, that's we're talking
Yeah.
TS6 money for that at that point.
Yeah.
But that I'm actually really excited for that. It's supposed to replace the Grand Sport in the lineup, which is the kind of the in-betweener between the Z06, it's a crazy one right now, and the regular base Corvette. But
But that would, I mean, just imagine driving in electric only mode in a Corvette. That just seems so
so
crazy that you
I
can,
heard it might not have an electric overland mode
ooh, that's kind of
because
sad because
I
I
was
think it
under
would
the
be cool.
exactly I was
Yeah.
under the impression it was going to be a plug-in hybrid, but it's not.
Ooh. So I'm guessing, so based on that, I'm guessing it's going to be more like a Honda CRZ hybrid where the engine's always on and just because
Or
in
the
the CRZ,
NSX. Is the NSX plug?
okay, the NSX a regular hybrid, but the thing is,
Oh,
like that
okay.
in the Prius, you can still drive in electric only mode. Like
For
in
a
the
short,
NSX, you can make
yeah.
it
Oh,
for a little
right.
bit. So, but that's what I'm wondering about with with the new Corvette E-Ray is will it be able to go into like electric only mode
Okay.
for a little bit of time?
Yeah. I think
Because
it. I've read on something that it said like probably for a short distance because I they were
yeah,
benchmarking against the NSX and the SF90, which is
the
crazy.
SF90 is a plug-in.
But that's what
So
S90 is a plugin though. Yeah. So I wonder if it's gonna like
I
kind of
just think
bridge the gap between the two somehow.
I don't know. That would be interesting. I just think if it's a plug-in hybrid, I'm just saying that would just be crazy to go to a charging station, just a level 2 charging station, and plug it in and just see people's reactions to a Corvette
Yeah.
plugged in, because that would be
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But
So I'm excited for that. And then one other one that I'm actually unusually and very weirdly excited about is the new Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid.
yeah,
Underrated. First of all, it's one of the only. I think it might be the only. I might be right or wrong on this plug-in hybrid that can fast charge. Um, Very impressive range for just
I
EV only
think
mode.
the Karma Rivero is the other one, or sorry, the Karma
Oh,
GS6.
that's in a whole other category. This is under like 50K. So and you can seat
You know,
seven.
you can maybe get one used for under 50.
Oh, you definitely can. But
There's one with 90,000 miles. There's a Karma Rivero for sale with 92,000 miles for like 42,000. No one's gonna buy
I
that.
would not buy
That
that.
has to go way down. That has to go down like 30,000 before anyone
I
would touch that
I'm
thing with
feeling
like a
below
10
that
foot
even,
pole.
like
Yeah.
27K maybe. But yeah, so that's a weird one I'm excited about. I think I have a press event or something about that next month, so I might try
Really?
to see what's going on with that a little bit more. But sure, at the end of the day, it's like a Nissan Rogue platform, but this whole plug-in hybrid thing is all Mitsubishi stuff. They kind of did their own thing here. So they took Nissan's technology and platform, which finally is actually pretty good, and they put their own stuff into it, which is kind of cool. Um, I'm actually really excited for that. I hope people line up to buy it because it's an alternative to the RAV4 Prime with more space. You can
And you
seat
can't
up to
even
seven
get the
people.
RAV4 Prime. It's
Oh
still
my god, yeah,
limited
you still can't get it.
availability.
Yeah,
Yeah, the thing that I hate about Toyota is I was just like trying to spec out a Crown, I type my zip code and it's like you can't even get one. Like you can't even go to the configurator on Toyota's
Isn't that
website. So I always
strange?
have to type in like 90001, which is LA zip code. So, but obviously in LA zip code, there's more electric vehicles. But yeah, the Toyota Crown actually and the Toyota Prius, I think are really cool. Because I know a lot of my EV friends like despise Toyota, think they're like the worst people in the world. But it's like there's still a big market for hybrids. And it's like
Yeah,
I think I mean I genuinely like the new Prius. I think it's kind of cool.
I think it's
Like
pretty cool
it's
too.
like because but they could have done that a long time ago. If they made the 2016 looked horrible with the new redesign. It was like the
Oh,
worst looking
terrible.
car on the road.
Yeah,
It just like I don't even know. Like in the prime made it even worse. Like it just
yeah.
probably the worst looking car on the market. But they could have made it better looking back then. And they could have just put a beefier motor in it. Like that's literally all it needed, but they didn't do it because they were lame. So
I think the issue though now with Toyota is that they have so many hybrids and now like basically everything is a hybrid. You can get a
yeah, the
Corolla,
Sienna's a hybrid
yeah,
in the Corolla.
and
So
you
yeah,
can
that's
get
the
a
thing.
Corolla hybrid with all-wheel drive. And if you don't like the look of
Yeah,
the
which is
Prius,
crazy.
just go for that. If you don't like the Corolla hybrid, go for the Camry hybrid with all-wheel drive. Don't like that, you can
Yeah,
get, and they're all like, you know, I'm sure there's a
get
little
the
bit
Avalon
variations in
hybrid,
size.
and then if you want something more luxurious, get the Lexus ES hybrid. It's like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's
But
weird because like I don't know how much of like a place the Prius has anymore. It's
I
cool, and
would,
it's a
I
their
mean,
dedicated hybrid
yeah,
EV or hybrid electric vehicle, whatever. But it's weird because
it
now
looks way
everything
better than the
is hybrid.
Corolla, in my opinion.
Oh
Because I
yeah,
think
yeah,
with the
definitely does.
Corolla is slow. The Corolla is slow and kind of basic because Corolla is like 0 to 60 in like 9 seconds. It's not that great. But you know, for 22.4 for the hybrid, if someone just wants a reliable car to get to and from work with good gas mileage, it's like that's an excellent car. You could drive that thing for like a decade and it probably
Yeah,
wouldn't have any issues.
exactly. And
But
I've heard
then,
people joke around saying they released it in yellow because all you're going to see them around is being taxis. But I think they're actually going to be kind of cool. And it's weird what they're doing with it. They're kind of pitching it as like a sporty or dedicated hybrid vehicle now. I guess even more so than like a Corolla or a Camry hybrid, which is really interesting. So I don't. I mean, I think it looks
and it's
great. I think
quick.
it's
The
going to be
new Prius
successful
is
too.
pretty quick. It's like 0 to 60 in 7 seconds, which is
Yeah,
like good because the old Prius was like 11. You'd die getting on the highway. But I mean, the new Prius is like,
yeah.
and for 27,000, it's not that bad either. It's like
No, yeah.
it checks most boxes.
And this is also before the Prime too, so that's going to be even
The
cooler.
Prime would be even cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that. I'm going to be impressed with that already because I think it's got 220 horsepower, which is whatever. But I think the
I
plug-in
mean, that's
hybrid range is
crazy.
going to be
Over
impressive
200 horsepower
in
in
a
a
Prius.
Prius. It's just
Yeah,
because that's like
not
100 more
with a
than the old
V8 swap.
Prius.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So it should be
I
interesting.
don't know. I think there's some Toyota products that are to be excited about, especially the Crown. I think it's cool. Like it's unique. It's different. It's like you're making a face. I don't think you love it.
It's so strange looking. I mean, I used to
Yeah,
like
it is
the
strange.
Subaru had the Outback, Legacy Outback, which is like a race sedan, and Volvo had the S60 Cross Country, which was a race sedan. Those look cool. I mean, I don't dislike the Crown. It's just
I
I don't
think
know,
the issue
something
is
it's
it's like the
weird.
Polestar 2. It's based on SUV and flat. It's like
Yes, yeah,
it's trying to
it's a
be something that's not. Like,
car
is it a
based on an
sedan?
SUV platform.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I think the Polestar 2, but the Polestar 2 looks more normal. Like the Polestar 2, you can tell that sits
Yeah,
up
it
higher than
does.
a regular sedan, but it's like it's kind of normal. But with the Crown, it does have a little bit of an awkward look, but I don't know. I think it's
The,
kind of cool.
the Crown is both a true definition of a crossover and B identical to kind of like Toyota trying to fit the weirdest market niche in the planet, which is that area of people who don't want an SUV and they miss the sedan,
Mhm.
but they also like the higher ride height. They like not having to like crouch down to get in their vehicle. They like all-wheel drive. Maybe they also like having a hybrid, but they don't really care too much. So I think it's fitting a lot of like weird areas. But because at least from
Yeah,
my experience, at our Lincoln dealership, we have endless complaints about not having sedans anymore. and everyone's
Wow.
forced into the smaller SUV, which is the Corsair.
So the Continental is not made anymore, right?
No, it's been gone for I think
Yeah, the
2 years now.
Continental, that car is one of like, in my opinion, I just think it looks so nice. Like
Looks
the
nice, drives
Continental,
terrible.
just
But-
really.
yeah. It's well, I mean, it's not supposed to drive nice, but it's literally drives like a boat. Like it actually drives like a boat. But I feel like that's nice. But yeah, so people complain about that. So I guess the Crown's kind of trying to fit into that pleasing segment. It would be funny if they made a Lexus version of it. I would actually be really interested to see what that would look like. But
Yeah.
who
Well,
knows?
I
They
mean,
could
there
do
are
that.
some weird Toyotas still out, like the Lexus UX, which is just like it's odd. Like it's like
If anyone
low.
spends that much money on that thing,
That thing
and
should be
I know them,
29, not like 37.
I'm gonna slap them. It's like 40K, 40 something K for like this tiny Mazda CX-3 size. I think it's smaller. I don't know. I don't know who's buying the
It's
UX,
like
but
slow as crap. It's like, yeah,
there was no appeal to that thing at all. And I heard
yeah.
that they're working on the new version of, I don't remember what this was, but it was a Prius-based Lexus hatchback that we used to have in the US.
The CT200.
CT200, they're making a new one apparently based on the
Yeah,
new Prius because now
that
the new
would be
Prius is
cool if they
fun.
can. Yeah, because that's the thing. Because the old CT200H, I never understood the purpose of that car because it was slow like a Prius, but it, it looked kind of nice.
Yeah,
But it was also just so slow. It was like you can't. You got to make it sporty somehow, and they
yeah,
didn't really do it.
yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. But there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff coming, and I think it's
Yeah,
gonna be
and
exciting.
I'm just excited as the years go on how you're going to be able to get some of these cool cars used for decent prices. Like now, you can get Model 3s for under 30,000, which is
Yeah,
crazy. I mean,
that's
I
nuts.
found one yesterday. It was a 2018 mid-range with like 50,000 miles, but it had full self-driving. Granted, full self-driving isn't really full self-driving,
Yeah,
but it's still cool to have all those features like automatic lane changes, all that stuff. It was under 30,000. It's like that's crazy. That's really
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of these vehicles get cheaper as the time comes as well, especially next year. Hopefully, as more vehicles come out. So I'm definitely excited for all that. Now, I do want to cut in quickly because would love to try out this Q&A section. So we have lots of questions from followers in this giant list here, and I'm gonna be a test run for this. This is the first episode, everyone. So get ready for this. Let's pick three. We can try to answer. I'm gonna do a random thing. I'm just gonna like scroll and I'll just tap on one and see what happens. So, when's the hybrid Mazda CX-50 coming out? We have a question from
Hybrid
Rob Bayer.
CX50. I don't
Mazda
know. I've heard
CX-50.
about it.
Yes, I have heard about it too.
I think the CX50 hybrid would be amazing. I mean, to have a hybrid Mazda
And
because
it would
Mazda
be
is one of
Toyota
yeah.
hybrid system
Because the
as well.
CX okay, that's good because Toyota hybrids are reliable. I mean,
Yep.
I'm just gonna be honest. If Mazda made some, I love Mazda. I mean, they make really nice cars for like really good prices. Like the Mazda 3, the amount of features you get in that car for like
Love it.
you can get in like
I
a
might buy one.
$25,000 one. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's yeah, it's really ridiculous. And they
Yeah.
really screwed it up with the MX-30. How they should have done their electric car, in my opinion, I think they should have just got an electric
Yeah.
powertrain, put it in the Miata, gave it like 200 horsepower, and call that a day. That's your Halo EV. Because the
The
thing is,
MX
when you make a yeah,
the MX-30 was a mistake. I think they acknowledged it was a mistake, and it was a full just compliance vehicle they needed for California and these small markets.
yeah. Granted, it might be a good deal, like used if you need like a really short range EV. That's premium
Yeah.
because it's like, yeah, because you get like sunroof, Bose audio. It looks cool. But it's just like the range is so bad. It's like,
Yeah.
and this is
So
coming from someone who drives a Mini Cooper SE with
I know.
140 miles of range. But at least the Mini is fun to drive. Like the Mini has a lot of horsepower. It has
Yeah.
181 and does 0 to 60 in like 6 seconds. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So when the hybrid CX-50 is coming out, I have no idea. Sorry, man. But I'm gonna assume if it does come in the next year. If you can't get that, try to get a reservation for the upcoming Mazda CX-90, which will be a plug-in hybrid, probably a plug-in hybrid inline six. I'm praying, but if it's not, it'll still be a 2-liter four-cylinder or 2.5-liter four-cylinder plug-in hybrid, which is still impressive. So that's coming out really soon. Next question. This is fun. I actually quite like this. uh, okay. Oh, we did that already. Kind of. What's your favorite car to come out the last year? I guess we didn't, but kind of. We did EV. So, what was your favorite car to come out
Last year.
last year? Well, let's do 2022 because the year's basically over.
Ooh. 2022 favorite car that came out. Let's say either the i4 or the iX. I think maybe I'll go with the iX. I think the iX
Interesting.
was just
Controversial
a
one.
really cool car. I guess I haven't driven that many. Oh no, sorry, the Vinfast VF8. No, I think the
I would say
iX
the
is really
iX is
cool.
okay.
It's
Cut the
cool.
grill off, close your eyes, burn your eyes with bleach, whatever you want to do. The iX is insanely cool and insanely fantastic.
And it gets way more than its EPA range in real
That
world.
too.
Inside EVs did a test with I think the range was like because it depends on the wheels. I think it was like
Yeah.
316. They got like 345.
Yeah.
Whereas like a Tesla with 300 miles will probably get 250 in the same test.
Exactly.
So
an owner DM'd me. So I've had two interesting iX DMs. One person bought one off of a recommendation I gave them, which is horrifying. But number two is that another owner already had one and said was commenting on the range, and he expect his out to be like the range, like a range spec iX. So it had like the best range wheels, which is I think the smallest wheels.
Yeah. 20-inch.
Yeah, the 20-inch wheels. And whatever. And he was getting 380 miles, which is nuts.
Yeah, I totally believe that because
Yeah.
and depending on your driving, because inside EVs did the range test on a highway, which is a worst efficiency.
Yeah.
But if you're driving it around town, I mean that's probably really possible because it's just so aerodynamic.
And some of the
I
high
mean,
points of the
not like it's not not that aerodynamic, but it just has a big battery and the motors are very efficient. And
but
for an SUV, it's still pretty aerodynamic.
Yeah, the other like I think key high points of the iX that no one really mentions are BMW's carbon fiber technology is no one else is doing this stuff. Half of the chassis is actually carbon fiber, which is crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
No one's doing that. That's just like one major thing. The other thing is that I've heard people say quietly they've built some of these things to like a Rolls Royce level standards, like interior quietness, interior sound insulation, which is nuts. And then you're getting all the regular BMW cool stuff, which is like their new interior technology. They're getting their new iDrive system, great build
quality. The iDrive
system's
excellent. Like I know some people like hate on the
I'm not the biggest
iDrive
fan
for like
of the new
various
one.
reasons.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought it was really good. But I mean, I always like say I had like a whole 360 with like my car view. I used to think Tesla's the best infotainment, and then experiencing some other cars, it's like the BMW is really good. But then going back to Tesla, just like all the updates are doing, like now you have Steam inside your Model S, and you can literally play like any game. It's just cool stuff that other car makers wouldn't really be brave enough to do. So
Mercedes is
I think
weirdly trying to copy Tesla really hard, but
but they have like Tetris. It's like what? It's like that's not that great. It's like Tesla, you can play Cyberpunk, and then Mercedes, it's like we got like Tic-Tac-Toe.
Yeah, awesome. So you're gonna go with the iX.
iX.
I'm gonna have to go with something that's not an EV, unfortunately.
Nissan
but
Z?
I am obsessed. Oh no, not the Nissan Z. I am obsessed with the Z06. I think that thing's fantastic.
Okay.
And my reasoning for this is that what GM did is I'm just gonna go with the whole C8 platform, but I'm gonna have to say the Z06 because it came out this year. But they literally took a 458 and a 488, basically kind of like mashed them together, perfected that chassis, and made it affordable to everyone. That's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really actually like reverse engineer all the engines and they made that accessible. And they're making a platform that's capable of hybrid and like eventually plug-in hybrid and eventually probably a fully EV that we know is coming. And this is a dedicated sports car platform. I don't know. I'm just really impressed with what they're doing with all that, and they're trying to like forefront of like the engineering mind that GM actually has that's been kind of suppressed for decades. But
in that regard, I totally agree because like with the Corvette, you can get like a 2 or 3 LT for like 80,000 or something just in the base model Corvette, and just have that nice of an interior. Like they really mastered it. Whereas in a lot of other sports cars, they just like you don't get the same level of luxury.
That is my favorite car, I think, of this year so far. Mm-hmm. And then for the final question, I might pick this one out because there's a lot in here, some interesting ones. I saw one that was really interesting, and now I can't find it. Okay. So we're hopping back into the Toyota bandwagon for one more second. This person is asking, what do you think about the 2023 RX 500h F Sport performance and how it competes with other vehicles in its class?
Yeah, so I have some friends who went on the media drive of that,
Okay.
and
I have
they stayed
also
at a
not experienced one.
Ritz-Carlton. I was slightly
Oh,
jealous, but
okay.
yeah. But yeah, I think the new Lexus, don't I genuinely don't know that much about the Lexus
Okay.
RX 350 or sorry, RX 500h F Sport, but I
Performance.
think I know they've definitely improved like the interior quality,
Yeah.
everything like that, because the old Lexus infotainment system was so bad. It was like,
I don't even want to
yeah,
talk. It
it
was
was like
horrible.
that little
Yeah.
mouse that you could
Terrible.
like, it was so, yeah, it was horrible. They've definitely improved a lot of stuff. And I mean, they don't appreciate that much. I don't think there's anything wrong. Like if you can afford it, buying a new Lexus, it's not a bad idea because I just don't
Yeah.
think that, I
So
mean, they're not going to depreciate much. Would I rather have like an X5 plug-in hybrid? Maybe, but I don't know how much more money that is. I think it would be way
yeah, I
more.
mean, I think these are good. I don't
Yeah.
know the pricing exactly, but I know they're pretty expensive now. And what I find pretty interesting, to say the least, is that Toyota, they've been so kind of focused on efficiency with these hybrid systems and kind of the most efficiency and being the most pure. And all of a sudden, they've completely flipped this, introduced this hybrid max powertrain, which is essentially the 500h, whatever it's called. So it's a four-cylinder turbo with the hybrid powertrain, and they're making like crazy amount of power now. Is it? I find it kind of weird how they kind of like flip that. I don't know if they're kind of caving in to like demands from customers wanting more power to maybe like compete with like full electric vehicles that have such big power, and they're sacrificing that efficiency. But I find it interesting that they kind of like broken their long-standing like super efficient hybrid only stigma to now go to this like more performance-oriented side.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because especially with electric cars now, it's like now you can get like a Ionic 5 that is 0 to 60 in like under 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Just everyday cars you can get for around $50,000 that are just ridiculously fast, and it's like they got to compete. And I mean, the only way to do it is to make your cars more powerful.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely interesting. So yeah, those were all our three questions. Now, if you have
all
anything more
right.
else to add to the podcast, I would throw it in now, but I'm all of stuff for today.
Yeah, I'm pretty much out of stuff too. I guess we covered Vinfast,
Yeah,
Mullen, which was a strange
Vinfast,
company.
Mullen,
Um,
and the crazy world of EVs that is coming upon us and that we are living in right now. Yeah, there's
yeah.
definitely a lot of exciting things coming, and we're living in some exciting things now. But are EVs the future? Is that the big question that everyone's asking right now? And what else is going to be coming out that could maybe pose a challenge to it? Or will EVs become dominant? We shall see.
Mhm.
But anyways, I want to end up this episode around now. Thank you for coming back on the show once again. Hope you enjoyed this wonderful conversation. But yeah,
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.
of course. Well, thank you all for listening to this first episode of the new season of the Allcarnews Podcast. And stay tuned for a lot more coming soon, as well as some really cool guests that we have coming on in addition to Andrew here. Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for more episodes coming soon. Okay. I'm just gonna like do that for my